Woman walks out of restaurant without paying, but then the waiter makes a big discovery. Every week, 88-year-old B would go to the same restaurant. She was always alone and always ate the daily special. It was something for her to look forward to. She knew the staff and everyone talked to her while she enjoyed the food, but the last time she was in the restaurant, she behaved very strangely. She was nervous at dinner and didn't want to talk to the staff. Finally, she walked out without paying, but when the waiter cleared her table, he made a bizarre discovery. The staff realized that the woman was not feeling well and wondered why. They decided not to run after her to ask for the money. After all, she was a regular guest, and the bill could be paid at another time. B had been coming to their restaurant for 30 years. She always sat at the same table by the window and always showed up. At the same time, she was known to all the staff, so everyone realized that something very strange was going on. But what was it? B hadn't always gone to the restaurant alone. At first, B came with her husband. Her husband loved the restaurant because the food was of good quality and it was affordable. The very first week the restaurant opened, B and her husband were there. She also often invited her family to eat there together, and for their 30th wedding anniversary, B rented the entire place. There was delicious food and dancing until late in the evening, but B's life hadn't always been a happy one less than a year ago. After a very short illness, the love of her life died. B didn't know what to do anymore and found it very difficult to be alone. The old woman cried for weeks. She was alone, and she had no one left to talk to, no one left to hug. Gradually, family and friends of the once cheerful woman got sadder and sadder. She didn't feel up to anything anymore, hardly ate, and didn't want any visitors. But soon, help came from an unexpected place. There was a letter on the doormat. The letter was from the restaurant where she ate every week. They hadn't seen her for a while, so they offered her a free dinner. The staff missed the woman and her enthusiasm and positivity. It was a difficult step for B to take. It would be the first time she'd go there alone. She'd never gone out to dinner alone, but she had to try to get out of the hole she was in, and she was confident that she would find her salvation at the restaurant. For B, a lot had changed in the last 3 months, but the restaurant still looked the same as always. She could smell the familiar smells and hear the same voices coming from the kitchen. For the widow, it was like coming home. Her usual table was reserved for her, and she sat down on her familiar chair with tears in her eyes. She looked out the window. Here I am all alone, she thought. But at that moment, the owner of the restaurant came to sit with her. He wanted to keep her company. We've known each other for 30 years, so we'll always be here for you, he assured her. For B, it was a lovely evening. She forgot her grief for a short period of time when she spoke to the staff. They helped her through the evening and hoped they would see B again soon. Slowly but surely, B crawled out of the deep hole she had been in since the death of her husband. She once again became the cheerful woman she always had been, and everyone could tell. But just when she was doing much better again, she received a phone call. It was the doctor. The result of the blood tests she'd done a week earlier are finally out. She entered the doctor's office the same day. She had clammy hands from sweating. She had to know what was going on. Why did the doctor sound so serious? I have some bad news. You're suffering from leukemia, a cancer of the white blood cells. I'm sorry, ma'am. It was like the ground was sinking from under her feet. She'd taken a blood test because she felt so tired all the time, but she never imagined that such a simple procedure could change her life forever. With tears in her eyes, she asked the hardest question of her entire life. How long do I have left? Unfortunately, you're at an advanced stage. It'll be 6 months with quality of life. 1 year at most, the doctor replied, B, who felt like she had a knife in her back. She came back to the restaurant where she had been for years. It helped her through a miserable time, so now it was her turn to do something good. In return, she sat at her table quietly. The staff tried several times to start a conversation, but B stayed aloof. She had heard shocking news and had to process everything. She heard the people talking to her, but she didn't really listen. Everything just passed by her when the staff had given up and let her sit quietly. She grabbed her purse and wrote something on a piece of paper. She put the piece of paper in a black folder and put it on her table shortly afterwards. She walked to the cloakroom and left the restaurant without paying, but she left the black folder on the table. It was Robin, one of the waiters who cleaned up B's table. He stacked the cutlery on top of the plates and was about to throw away the napkin, but under the napkin he saw the black folder B had left. Maybe this was the money she still owed them for dinner. Maybe she hadn't left without paying. After all, maybe she had left the money on the table. Curiously, Robin picked up the folder and opened it. But there was no money in the folder. There was only a note in it that would change the lives of all employees at the restaurant. Robin took the note from the black folder and cried out in shock. What he just read in the folder was a piece of paper with a moving message on one side to the restaurant staff. For over 30 years, I've enjoyed coming to this restaurant. I've seen everything in the restaurant change. I've seen the staff come and go, the menu has changed dozens of times, but I've always stayed. I've had a lot of happy times here, but even in bad times, you have always been a support to me. Now that I am old and sick, I would like to thank you very much by means of a nice amount of money." With trembling hands, the waiter turned the check over and saw the absurd amount. The check had a value of $100,000 from an old woman who had been coming to the restaurant for years and wanted to do something good for the staff who had always supported her. Robin could not believe his eyes and gave the check to the manager, who burst into tears. He had known Bea for 30 years and knew that soon he would never see her again at her regular table. He was happy with the money, but wished that Bea was healthy and well and that he could enjoy her company every week. Because being surrounded by people who are dear to you is worth more than all the money in the world.
If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up and consider sharing it with someone who may find it interesting. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you in the next one.